Anyone live anywhere near Illinois? Have you guys heard about the state of Illinois? Do you know what's going on here? It's funny because it's not funny, but it's interesting because it's not being covered by the media outside of like the Chicago Tribune and the Chicago area media outlets. We are the 50th out of 50 states for job growth. That's last. We are 2 years now. The state of Illinois, the state government, has not had a budget. So that probably doesn't sound like a big deal to a lot of people. Well, so what? They don't have a budget, as if a budget's just an abstract concept anyway. You know, it's a plan to go by. No, it's a lot deeper than that. What happens is without a budget, they don't pay their vendors. So entities that extend services to the state don't get paid. And they only get paid on a selective basis when the state legislature specifically passes a bill aimed at paying one or more of those vendors. So it's piecemeal payments. But you have to get bipartisan agreement to get anything paid. So what does that result in? Well, that's a lot bigger deal for a state than you might think. Because if you don't pay your vendors, they go out of business. And then there's a lot of companies that have gone out of business because really their only customer or their biggest customer was the state. When the state stopped paying their bills, a lot of places went out of business and further jobs were lost, compounding the state's problems. There's already a big sort of worker flight from Illinois. There's more, the net, people coming into the state versus people moving out of the state. It's the only state in the Midwest where the net for the past 2 years, and past 5 years has been negative. There's a lot more people leaving Illinois than there are coming to it. And that's not true of any other state around Illinois. So there's that. And then there's all these social services agencies and, like nursing homes, mental health facilities, things like that have not been paid, and many of which just don't exist anymore. Illinois is a mess. Illinois is probably worse than your state right now. And outside of Chicago is what I'm talking about too. It's important to distinguish, and anybody that lives in Illinois knows that already, but it's like Chicago's a different world. All their funding and everything is assured by the density of their population and their representation within state government. So Chicago can still be doing well economically when the rest of the state is not. So you have, politically speaking, Chicago is blue and liberal and democratic, college educated, progressive thinkers, and outside the state, which are outside of Chicago, in what we call downstate, it's very red. This is where I am. This is where I grew up. This is where I've lived most of my life. And I'm not red, actually. So I'm kind of like an anomaly around here. But I understand it because I grew up around it, and all my family and friends, come from that way of thinking. It's the sort of working class mindset, and they don't really understand what's happening economically. They just know there are no jobs. You know, if you want to be a welder or a truck driver, you could probably get a job right now. Otherwise, you're screwed. Even companies like Caterpillar are building all their facilities somewhere else. You know, Mexico, or parts being manufactured in China, low labor cost countries. Caterpillar is not renewing its commitments to a lot of places in this area. And the working class of America is dying anyways, so it's not just in Illinois, but it certainly is bad here. So, Illinois is in bad shape. Now, why is that a problem? Because if you happen to be down on your luck in Illinois, you ain't got the money to leave, you're in a tough spot. Because the last several jobs I've had, and I have a college degree from the University of Illinois, but it doesn't do me any good in this job market. The last several jobs that I've had have been, like $12 to $14 an hour kind of jobs. And while that's not minimum wage, it's not enough to afford all the cost of living and save money to get out of here. So you just end up working to sort of stay in place, like the proverbial hamster on the wheel, or what you might call treading water. You're swimming in place, but you're not getting anywhere. I need to get out of this town. I need to find a better job market. I need to find some kind of option that's better than this. It's killing me. I've been here for years trying to leave and can't seem to find any avenue out. Yeah, Illinois is in tough shape, and we've got a fight going on because our billionaire Republican governor, Bruce Rauner, is having a fight with an entrenched and powerful political family in the state legislature, that it's kind of come to a standoff where, the only people, I don't think either side is winning, honestly. Mike Madigan and his family have been in state politics and in a lot of Chicago politics for quite a while, and they really have a lot of power up there. Bruce Rauner is locked in a battle with them, and and has been since he came into office, and that stalemate has resulted in no progress at the state level. So we don't even have social services and things operating properly. There's no mental health facilities left that I can find that are even offering services. So when people start cracking and, shooting up the place, don't blame them. They're losing their ability to even get help. So it's amazing to watch politicians squabble over territory like that when real people's lives are at stake. And all you need to do is drive around anywhere in downstate, and you can see the infrastructure is crumbling. Cities can't keep up with just basic services because their tax bases have left to a large degree, and that started before now. I mean, that started just like it did in most cities. People flee into the suburbs and stuff like that, and so now they're leaving the state altogether and further eroding a tax base, and yet you still have to provide services as a city to the entire boundary of your city limits. You got to run the buses just as far, you got to run the snowplows just as far, you got to police just as far, things like that. So it's it gets more expensive the more people leave, and the more services have to get cut back to account for that. So state of Illinois is in that spot now, and it's been there for years. But I mean, I'm just at a point now where I wanted to do a video about it because I wonder, since the Chicago Tribune is the only one that seems to report on this, I wonder if other people outside the state of Illinois even know that this is happening. Like I said, 50th out of 50 states for job growth. Worker flight is sort of dominating what's happening here. And, you know, like the weather pattern changes are wreaking havoc on cities that can't afford to maintain their infrastructure as it is. Things are falling apart. Employers are leaving for states that have better laws. It's a right-to-work state here in Illinois, so that means that workers have no rights, and that's still not good enough for employers because there's a lot of workers' compensation laws that employers don't like here. And yeah, without getting in too deep on all that on the state politics front, just wanted to do a quick video about the state of Illinois and what's going on here, and just wanted to say, you know, I want to get out of here. If you know of anybody, any good employers that might help you with relocation expenses until you can get on your feet, or if you know any kind of jobs where a guy that doesn't have kids, doesn't have a wife, doesn't have like attachments, can just pack a bag and go type of guy, young and healthy, college educated, so forth. I just need a way to get there. So that's my pitch. And I appreciate any comments. Appreciate you viewing. Click to subscribe if you want to hear more from me. Comment on what kind of videos you want to hear about. Be happy to do it. Thanks. That's it for now.